Welcome to the Women of HubSpot podcast, the show that celebrates the voices shaping marketing, technology, and the ever-evolving HubSpot ecosystem. Hosted by George B. Thomas from Sidekick Strategies. Each episode brings you the stories, strategies, and superpowers of the women driving this industry forward. It's their time. It's their mic. This is Women of HubSpot.
And we're back for another episode of the Women of HubSpot podcast, by far becoming one of my favorite pieces of content or conversations that I have been having over the last couple months. If this is your first episode, let me explain. It was way back ago. It was the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles were playing. The quarterback had an all-women's team, and my daughter started to have a conversation about how the team behind him was all females. And I saw her face, and I saw the expression, I saw the excitement, and I was sitting there on my couch, eating some good food, watching a football game, and I just went to LinkedIn, no strategy, not trying to get anything out of the world. I said, hey, if you know somebody that uses HubSpot or works at HubSpot, let's shine the light on them. Let's go ahead and tag them. Of course, females, women of HubSpot. Post went nuts, Haydee. It was crazy how it went. My daughters and I, we looked at each other, we talked, my wife got involved, and we're like, we've got to have conversations around this so they can learn the lessons, so other women can learn the lessons. Hopefully other men can learn the lessons that are in this podcast episode and other episodes. And it has been a great journey. So I'm excited because I'm not here by myself. That would be weird. But Haydee, why don't we start by just like, one, how the heck are you doing today?
Great. I'm doing great. And I'm just laughing because, your story is so cool. And I imagine your daughter, I could imagine literally because, I think all women feel the same when there's a new sector or a new thing that we see all women teams in. We're like, yay, that's girl power. So I totally connect with that.
Yeah. So we're about to go on a journey down in some valley questions, up into some mountain peak questions. But before we do that, let's go ahead and let the viewers, the listeners, let them know kind of who you are, what you do, and also where you do it. And then we'll get in on our journey.
Well, hi, my name is Haydee Ferrufino, and I'm the CEO of the Orange Box Agency. We're a digital agency based in El Salvador. Have you ever been in El Salvador?
I have never been there, but I think it's going to be a bucket list item.
It's a little country in Central America, so we're located all here. And we're servicing, though, B2B companies across the world, especially North America and Latin America, in industries like higher education, software and technology, and real estate, and professional services, right? So across all Latin America and North America, and we're a Platinum HubSpot Partner now. And we specialize, in helping companies scale in a systematically and intelligent way, not only using HubSpot as their backbone, but also making sure that they have an adequate revenue operations strategy that makes sense for their long-term goals.
I love that. And congratulations on Platinum Partner. That's always a nice little, when you hit there, you're super excited. So, okay, Haydee, let's get into the journey here. And the first question I want to ask you is kind of a way back question. You're getting in a DeLorean, you're getting in a telephone booth that travels back in time, whatever vehicle you want to use to get there. But if we could look way back in time when you were just getting started, one, and by the way, this can be pre-agency, this can be starting of agency. This is your story, however you want to start this. But if we go way back to the beginning, one, what would we see? And two, what would she be most surprised about where you are now?
I would want to start by, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to have, a company. My parents are, they have companies as well. They wanted to, here in El Salvador. So I always wanted to be like them and have my own company. And also for some reason, I have always been fixated on helping people and kind of, create opportunities for people. I wanted to be that engine, and what better way to do it with a company. Funny story, I didn't even study marketing at the beginning. I did business administration. And I've always wanted to, marketing was my lover, let's say. I was looking at marketing and saying should I study that? I don't think I'm that creative. back in the day, and really just life took me, in a direction where I really loved marketing from the get go, and I like self taught myself on how to do marketing well. And part of my great teacher for marketing was HubSpot. Like I found HubSpot so amazing with content and education that it just built me into what I am now. And I just followed that stream of exploring new things, right? And one thing that happens when I was little, I was in the university still, and I remember an owner of a like a wine restaurant, like they just did wine. I don't know how to explain it in English. It's not my first language. So anyways, she was like, you seems to know a lot about marketing, right? So that was 2013. And she was like, you seem to know a lot about social media marketing. Can you help my business? And I was like, that was the first moment I was like, yay, I can do this. And I just jumped right in. And that was my first client. I remember she paid me $150 a month. And she was amazing. Like I always will be grateful for her because she believed in me even before I even had a logo even. So it was awesome.
I love that story so much. And there's a couple things. One, being the engine of like being helpful and helping humans. I love that that's at the base of who you are. Also, we totally get what you're saying as far as wine and just a place where you can go and drink some. We have those here close to where I live as well. Maybe a little couple like meats and cheeses and some wines, and you're off
Yeah,
to the
exactly.
races.
Yeah.
And I love this, like, hey, they believed in me before I even had a logo on it, was one of maybe the lines that I want to pull out there. Now, here's the thing. What would she be most surprised about where you're at right now based on that kind of beginning story you shared?
How much I've publicly, shared my vision, because I think before I wasn't even comfortable doing things like this, like I was always in the back of the office, like trying to, push the company to be more public and everything. But I didn't want it to like showcase myself or showcase what I believed in, because I thought people will think that I was crazy if I tell them that, hey, I just want to create the most amount of opportunities for Salvadorians I can, like with, this crazy ecosystem and all my dream, right? Like, so, and I think people has taken it very well. And I think also the confidence I have now, because back, I'm a single owner, so I don't have co-founders or anything like that. So all the growth without even knowing how to grow a company. My parents don't have a service company. They have, normal commercial companies, like they sell, food and beverage and things like that. So I never, like, I had no one to learn from how to get here other than HubSpot and my fellow agency owners that have, I have known along the way. So I think that's what she will be most amazed about, that
Yeah.
we got here alone,
I,
without a co-founder or business.
I love this so much. Listen, I love your dream. I love the idea of like being that engine. And I think that's probably why you've gotten where you've gotten, because of just the moral compass or values that lead you in this direction. So you mentioned now a couple of times your parents and owning a business, and you've been on this journey from like the beginning of like, I think I love marketing, and then getting the first client, and now being a platinum partner. I'm super curious, who have some of your biggest inspirations or mentors been along the way?
Well, I would like to, highlight Dan Tyre, because he was someone that really, really changed my mindset about selling, because I used to hate selling before, like a lot, because I didn't want it to bother people, like I had that issue. I didn't want to bother people, so I just didn't want to, like, I thought I was bothering. So he taught me everything I know about sales, and I love it now. And he has been a great mentor, and I would say my first like official mentor. It doesn't matter what I needed or what doubt I had, I could go to him and he will, help me out. Also, I would like to highlight Omi. I saw her, you had her in the podcast as well. Omi and Trickby as well, from Busy Web, Tracy as well. Like they have been, I met them with Dan Tire in a HubSpot boot camp, and they have been mentors for me, and they have been always open to share. And I wanted to also say that HubSpot, one thing that I love about HubSpot community or ecosystem is that we're all about sharing, like what's working, like how are we doing things, and like everyone wants everyone like truly to succeed, and they are not gatekeeping anything. And I think that community really is what brought me where I am, and I'm thankful for all of them, and all the other people that I cannot mention here because it's a big list.
I love the HubSpot community as well. I have felt since 2012 when I fell into the community that it's the same thing. It's like people just trying to be helpful and make sure that we're all getting to the places that we're trying to go. And I love that so much. By the way, I need to see if our editor can go back through all of these interviews and see how many times Dan Tyer's name has been brought up as far as a mentor and inspiration. We may need to do just a little independent video of just those clips as I hear you say, because I know it keeps coming and again and again. So we might have to do that.
That would
Listeners,
be great
viewers,
for him
yeah.
to see the impact. Because I always tell him, do you know, you're such an angel, I say, like, do you know how you impact people? It's really important, I think, for all of us. Like, like it has helped so many people. And yeah, it will be cool to see that video.
Haydee, let's continue on our journey here from beginning out, being in love with marketing, learning from HubSpot, HubSpot Academy, Platinum Partner. Along the way, have there been any hurdles, biases that you've had to overcome in your career? And if so, or when, because I'm sure the answer is probably yes, we all have, but what was the hurdle or bias and how did you navigate it?
The first and biggest hurdle has been, we're in Latin America, so it has been very hard to kind of break through the barrier of offshoring, services from, North America, but also as well in Latin America really has been bigger because it's an education problem. Like companies don't even know what was, back in the day when we started, like they didn't even know what the CRM was. Still, I imagine there are companies that they don't know. So imagine how hard that was, right? And also, navigating gender biases, being like only me as the CEO. I had no one like to support me with other than my team. So I think that, being in tech, because one of the industries we focus on is tech, right? So tech is very heavy on masculine energy. So we're, like it's very, all the sales scenarios where I've been and trying to, because I'm the one that sells in my company still. So, all of that has been like the biggest kind of item that we had to overcome for growth, but also personally, I would say balancing things, right? Like, because I was so big and I am so big in my vision, right? But also I had to learn, overcome depression 2 times, for all the stress and things, and where do I go from here? Like, overcoming all of that, working on myself and my self growth, I have learned how to maximize, my life with technology, and how to use, AI or other technology to kind of improve myself and try to reach a balance, because I know I can be very, goal focused, right? So I think that the self balancing fact has been very important on the journey, I will say.
Yeah, I love this that you're tapping into the need for balance, the use of technology to even get that balance maybe a little quicker, and just the understanding of hurdles are hurdles, biases are biases, but you have the power to put yourself in a position to actually still be successful, which I love that. So hey, let's continue on with these what I call valley questions. Have you ever faced a moment where you get in the room, or maybe it's Zoom, maybe it's a real room, and you have this moment. And again, this could be during HubSpot, pre-HubSpot, agency life. Have you ever faced a moment where you felt underestimated, maybe even overlooked, or just simply out of place? And how did you handle that when you're like, ooh, I'm in this spot, but
Yeah, I think it happened. Well, it happened recently. I went to HubSpot Partner Week, and I know it can be about, out of HubSpot, but I'm just saying because that was the moment. I worked a lot on my imposter syndrome. So I thought, like it's something that you don't cure, but it happens. And I try to never compare myself, but I was in Latam week last week on Bogota, the first time I go for a Latam week for partners, and there are so many amazing agencies over there, of course. And I was like sitting there, like, what, like, why in the world? Like, there's so much I haven't done yet. There's so much to learn. I even felt like, what am I doing? Like, this is like, how did I get there? Like, it was like waking up and saying, like, how did I get there? I don't remember, Also, it helped me understand that it's normal to feel that way when you don't like kind of see new things happening and where the industry is moving and how everything is like shifting. So like I was like, I'm out of my comfort zone. So that's why I feel like that. So how or what can I learn from this experience, and what is it telling me about what I need to work about myself? And I this is the way I see things. I'm sorry, but it is the way I see it. Is like, how can I learn from these people, and how can I, add to, what they're doing as, value to my country, to my community, and all my clients.
Yeah, no, I love it so much. First of all, you don't have to apologize. Like if it's the way you see the world, it's the way you see the world, and more people honestly need to kind of stand on that and roll with it. And I love this idea of like, imposter syndrome never goes away. Listen, I've been in this HubSpot ecosystem since 2012. People will say the nicest things about me, and then I'll wonder, why are they saying those things? Like I don't understand. And so we all deal with that. But the idea that I really want to lean in on is like, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I understand that because I'm in my discomfort, I'm in a place of growth, and I'm going to be able to bring this back to my community, to my team, to my country. I love this so much. Okay, let's kind of keep going down. We're going to crest up into these other questions here in a minute, but I have to ask you, have you ever experienced like a significant failure or a setback in life, and what did you learn from it when it happened?
I think 2 years ago, my company was collapsing, I would say. We had, as you might know, sometimes in the agencies, we have bigger clients and then it's going really well, but you're depending like in one single or two single clients out of everyone. Like it's the biggest one that they buy. So for some reason, that client, we still have it, but the client is an agency client because we also do white label services for elite agencies or agencies from HubSpot that, need talented staff. So anyways, they wanted to try with some other provider to try and see like if they could have two, right? So they decreased the orders or the purchases they were doing from us. At the same time, our other client that we had left. So we were like, almost done with cash. And also at the same time, can you believe everything at the same time? January, I think 2022 or 2023. At the same time, like a snowball effect, we just, found out there were some, the accountant issues and things like that we had to pay. So it was like a mountain of debt that I didn't notice, like I did a wrong, my job wrongfully by not delegating, because it was the first time I tried to have like managers. It was the first time I jumped it from me handling to managers and having departments. So I did it wrong. Of course, it was my first time. So there were things I didn't see, and everything came down to me at the same time. So I entered my second time depression, right? Like the second time I entered. And I always tell this story when I explain why I like AI so much. But I love the brain. And since I love the brain and I know a lot about the brain, I knew that depression means that my brain wasn't functioning correctly. And I love my brain. So I was like, could I maybe use a second brain to support me right now that while I'm transitioning this, right? Because I need to take meds and still show up, every single day to fix this mess, right? And that's how I started using AI and learning how to train it and how to, put into it information that will allow me to take it as an advisor or a co CEO that could help me see if I was making the right decisions, right? And prioritizing the right things. And here we are, platinum now. We're all good. Everything was solved. It took me like around 6 months to fix everything, but I am very grateful that it happened, because it taught me that once again I could overcome whatever, if I put into my mind into it, if I let people help me, and also if I communicate what I need correctly, and also if I maximize technology with it.
So many good pieces that I hope the viewers and listeners are pulling out of this. One, it's okay to ask for help. Two, this idea of a second brain. If you're watching this or listening to this and you haven't dove into the world of AI, just for the ability to have a second brain of information that you're doing on a daily basis, and it's such an unlock at this point. Make sure that you're kind of paying attention to that. But I love this, like, ownership too, this ownership mindset of like, it was me, I tried to do this, I'm willing to say I did it wrong, but man, did I learn these lessons from it. And again, that's where we learn lessons when things aren't going right, but usually we learn lessons when they're going wrong, and we have to right that ship. And by the way, congratulations on it only taking 6 months, because it could have taken a whole lot longer than that, to be honest with you. I got to get some context here, and I'm curious. What does empowerment mean to you? And how do you pass that on to others in your field, in your family, in your organization? This idea of empowerment.
I love that question. That's a really good question. Empowerment for me means the ability to remember that you can do it. And if you can't do it, it's fine too, but you can try, right? You always can try. So the way I try to empower is, I am part of in my community, I am part of a leadership club of all females in El Salvador that is called Her. And I try to empower them by telling these stories. Like we have all community events and things, and always try to be transparent, right? Because sometimes it's very easy that when we do marketing and do all these things, people look at you and say like, oh, she's doing it perfect, right? But it's also reminding people that it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It is life is like that, right? And also empowering my team, trying to explain. I always say we're the good guys, right? Like with the good guys. I always remind them that, remember, we're the good guys. We're doing the right thing for the client, right? Or in my family, my dad always said that we're here to serve. He always explained that to me. And the way I explain it is like, if we show up as we are, transparent as we are, then we can empower people to say like, hey, maybe I can do it too, So if you talk about how you did it and how lost you were and be transparent at it, people can understand they can take the leap of faith on themselves.
I love, again, so much of that. One, ladies and gentlemen, do me a big favor and take the leap of faith on yourself. Haydee, I love that you tied empowerment to the remembering that you have the power to do that. And the fact that you grew up with a father who was like, we're here to serve. I mean, it resonates with me. I've for years have been like ending all my videos with, don't forget to be a happy, helpful, humble human. In other words, don't sell, serve. I love that you tied it to, we're the good guys, because there's a lot of agencies, there's a lot of humans out there that, well, they don't care if they're the good guys. It's all about the bottom line. So there's so much that I am loving about your story and your mindset of how you're doing this. So here's the thing. I asked at the beginning of that for context of like, what do you feel is empowering? Because of this next question I want to ask you. And that is, can you share a moment in your career where you felt especially empowered or proud of something that you achieved?
Since I was little, I've always dreamed of going to France, the Eiffel Tower, right? Just be there. I could even like just touch it, and that's fine. But that was my dream was very specific. My dream was waking up in a hotel in which I could see through the window the Eiffel Tower on my birthday. That was my dream, right? And I accomplished that on 2023. And it was all my savings, because I do assign a salary to me, and that was like how it is. But I didn't want to touch the company for that. But I made it. I did I went to Europe. I went to several different places, and I got to experience what I wanted. And you know what happened? I cried because I'm a crier. But I remember I felt such bliss. I cannot explain how, but when I was in the plane, like you could look down at the Eiffel Tower still, and when I saw it, and I was like, before I even landed, I said, like, can you believe we made it? Can you believe we're here? We made it, you know? And I remember I started crying and thanking God, because I was like, oh my God, how did I get there? And all of that. And I still cry almost. But it's really good for me as well to understand, with effort and being the good guy and trying to, overcome that. It's also good to take a moment and celebrate, kind of intake what it is happening, because sometimes we're just like blinded to it and so like, oh yeah, cool, but we're not like taking a moment to kind of breathe into what's going on and celebrate it. So I remember all of the places I went, I cried, because I was like, oh my God, like I'm here, and I couldn't like believe it, and I still remember, and it's like a dream. But yes, that's what I would choose to to explain. Yeah.
Man, I love the story. I love the idea of having a goal, achieving the goal, and really what I hope the listeners and viewers tag onto, especially in this such a fast-paced world we live in, is taking the moment or moments to celebrate, to enjoy the place that you reach, to almost put like a milestone in your memory of this journey that you've been on. And so it's so good. Okay, so let's put a little bit of a mentor hat on, or you've talked about already that you want to change your country, you want to change the world, you want to change the people, the team. And so I'm super curious, like if you had a magic wand moment and you could change one thing about how women are supported in this industry, what would your magic wand moment be?
My magic one moment. I would change in the industry, right?
Yep. or
Um,
or or in general, it's totally up to you, Haydee, wherever your brain goes. If it's in the industry or in the world, I'm going to release you to whatever you want to say.
I would say I would like to change how we are heard. I think that sometimes, male counterparts can say like, oh yeah, like someone is trying to speak. Like females, we do have this issue. I would say is that we are scared to bother people. Like we're not supposed to do something. So I would change the fact that the people can listen when we talk, because it's really hard for us to talk sometimes. And some personalities differ, like, and if you're chiming in, or if you have someone in your company that's a female and that she's been in the same position for a while, and like she's not even, you just try to create programs or create a mentorship program or something that help them understand they can aim for more, or they can speak out loud, or they can, like just the permission, I would say. Reminding females that they have the permission, to dream, to do, to ask, to create, to just collaborate with you guys. I think that's what I would change.
Love it. Okay. So this is called the Women of HubSpot podcast. I at least have to ask one question specific to HubSpot. I kind of think I might know where you're going to go, but maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised you'll go in a completely different direction.
Okay.
But are there any particular tools, strategies, or trends in HubSpot right now that excite you?
Yes, I am very excited about where is it going on the AI route, but also how, not from a automation perspective, because we already have that, I think, with the automations in HubSpot, but the analysis perspective. I think that people like, I believe that people like to buy HubSpot because they understand the source, one single source of truth. Like they want to have integrated everything, but how often they really speak to their data, right? So I think, for instance, the connector with ChatGPT has been great, because I think it also helps you, understand deeply what opportunities you have in data. So I am very excited about guided business intelligence. I'm not saying that there's something near that or anything like that, but I see the industry going that way. And I think HubSpot, as always, as the big brother it is to me, I think it's going to understand how we can speak to data or how data can speak to us and say like, hey, let's go this way. I'm telling you. So, because sometimes we just forget, to look at the data and look at the past and see what we've learned to, project the future. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, I love this idea of human powered business with AI assisted analysis and helping the humans make the right decision and be more human in the moments that they need to. Love that so much. I figured when you talked about technology earlier that it might be technology related in that answer. So that's why I was like, I think I maybe know where you're going. And of course, you knocked it out the park.
You were in that surprise, huh?
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. I love the answer. So here's the thing. Let's put that mentor mode, that mentor hat back on for a second. Haydee, how important is networking with other females to you, or just networking in general? And are there certain strategies that you use to build connections along the way?
I would say 90% of 100. And why? It's because when we are together, we can feel like equals, and that means that we can talk, create, explain, and mentor. So I think we expand ourselves in social settings or networking settings, but also we learn that we're not alone, and that has happened to someone else, and that we can be like vulnerable, and it's okay. We're not going to see each other as, like weaker for that. And I think that's very important. The strategy I like to do is actually, I like to use, I don't have it today, but I like to use, look at my nails, right? For example, you see? So I like to have something like shiny or something different on me, because I've seen people really like to, start a conversation by that. That's one thing I do. But the other thing is also just share what you know and listen, because people normally don't know how to ask or what is it that they need. And when we all start sharing things and what we do and what works for us, we find out that it's helping other ones, right? So I think that sharing has been my most favorite tool, because in my first year, I think, or second year in the club, they saw I was like very into technology. So they asked me to share like how I use it. And I did explain how I used it when I was in this issue that I told you about, and how I used the AI as my second brain. And I remember how many female leaders used it to, kind of expand their business or the productivity or the way they did it. So I think, and just like myself, other ones shared other things that they did that have helped me, So I think sharing, it's very, very helpful for this type of settings and networking.
Yeah, I love that so much. They say sharing is caring. And I would add to that. And when you care about humans, that's how you build a brand that lasts a very, very, very long time. So speaking of lasting a long time, having a career, being on this journey that we've been having this conversation around, I'm super curious, what has been the most rewarding aspect of your career so far?
The jobs I have been able to create. I am overwhelmed by the amount of people I have. I know it's not close to 100 or anything. They were like around 28 or 30, but before, I never thought I would impact so many families. And that's how I see it, like that's part of my journey or my vision, is like how many people I can impact. So for me, that's what's more rewarding. It's seeing my, people that are from my team that have 8 years with me or 10 years with me, and how much they have grown. They have bought their houses, they have cars, and all the things that they have been able to develop in their lives. And I feel like I did my job, like in that sense. So that's the more, I think, the more rewarding thing I can say from my team. And also the way I could, support my parents and try to understand there's a different, because in Latin America, and my parents, I would say they're very work heavy. Like they like to work and serve and work, and sounded like a song, right? But the thing is that, try to show them what balance is, and see them taking vacations together and things like that. I think that's also rewarding because I'm showing them there's another way to work and live, and and that's another thing that I liked about the
Yeah,
journey.
I love it so much because when I hear your story around that, your answer, it's like the impact that you're making in other people's lives, and that is very rewarding to know that people are able to do things, think things, be things, because you're being that catalyst for growth. Oh, okay. So, what advice would you give, Haydee, other women who might want to choose this kind of career path or ownership path that you've been on? Like, what's the words of wisdom that you want to give them?
Get involved with the community as much as you can. And the reason I'm saying this is that I've always, looking back at my journey, I've always said, thank God I enrolled in that boot camp. Thank God that like I joined that Slack channel, or that I wanted to get involved in all the community things that happen around the ecosystem and the partner that I chose, which was with HubSpot, right? If you get involved and again, are you transparent as you are and share who you are, just things will come to you. Like, you will have the right mentors, you will have the people that want to share their stuff with you and understand and learn. And if you are being the good guy, then people will be the good guy with you. So that's what I would say.
So good. Okay, as we land the plane, I've got three questions for you. Question number one of landing the plane questions: you've come a long way, like from a dream of like loving marketing to actually doing marketing to impacting 20, 23, 25 people, your family, your community. What are your long-term goals from here?
Wow, that's it's a big story, but let's say my dream for now is we just created a sister company. It's called Smart Topsify. It's because we saw that a lot of the clients we were helping they were selling a lot, but in the back end they had issues. Their processes were not up to the level of their marketing and service teams. So we created that company to help the back end because, again, we're trying the 360. We're trying to continue helping companies to grow and develop or generate opportunities for Salvadorian at the same time, right? So that's the whole thing. So my future goal is to create an ecosystem that not only helps people by giving them an employment into one of our companies, but also to have a side, learn how to have side income, because here in El Salvador it's not like a normal thing that you have a lot of options like you guys in the US. So learning how to have a better income other than salary, how to save, how to invest, like creating this ecosystem that can allow me to provide opportunities for 2 million Salvadorian people, and impact the economy in a way that people can live a better life, a healthier life, with more opportunities without sacrificing their passions. That's what I want to create.
Ooh, wee. My goodness. Okay. This idea of living the life of their dreams without sacrificing their passion. Like viewers, listeners, just write that little tidbit down in your notebook or a post-it note and put by your computer for the next couple weeks and think about that. That is so good. Okay, question number two of landing the plane. We've learned a lot about you, by the way. So this question sometimes gets a little bit more difficult towards the end, which is why we put it at the end, because we're digging. We're digging for this one. What's a surprising or little known fact about you that people might not expect?
I'm very hard on letting people help me. I think from and getting personal with that question. I think I've always learned or always thought that I needed to do it by myself and survive because I have no one, right? Like no one else to save me or be with me or cooperate with me, right? And that's something I'm working about on right now. It's like trying to understand that I can be held, I can be supported, and that's okay. Like I don't have to be in survival mode all the time because we're not there anymore. Like trying to. I think that's one thing that they don't know about me, that it will be like weird, because sometimes people think that I'm very balanced and perfect, like I said, and it's not that way.
Yeah, I love your honesty. And by the way, again, something that I think many of us battle with. Okay, last question, and then we'll get you back to your regularly scheduled day, and folks can go back through their notes or re-listen to the rewind sections of this episode. Haydee, finish this sentence for me. Success to me means blank.
Success to me means maximizing the impact for everyone.